love, what's up? Welcome to Confidently Uncomfortable. I'm your host, Jago, health and lifestyle coach and not-so-regal confidence queen. Coming at you with the real, the raw, and of course, the uncomfortable. My mission is to show you that to be confident, it has absolutely nothing to do with being perfect or having it all together, and everything to do with you getting uncomfortable and pushing your limits. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive in. Okay, we're going to talk about it. Comparison. We're going to talk about it. I call it comparisonitis. So this disease and mental state that we struggle with so often where we are comparing our own lives to other people's lives. And I want to talk about how we are destroying our chance to succeed by constantly comparing ourselves to everyone else. But the truth is, we probably know that it's not healthy when we do it, but we still do it. Why do we do it? It's insane, right? It feels insane even when you're in it, in that comparison mindset. You know, this isn't truth, this isn't true, but I still feel less than every single time I get caught in that. And so I was really struggling with this episode because I wanted to talk to you all about how I worked through comparison and where I was before and where I am now. But honestly, I still struggle with comparison all the time. It's at a different level, it's in a different space, but I still struggle. So I'm going to dive into kind of like where I have come and how far I've come with that comparison game. But I want to be real with y'all. I still struggle with this. So I don't want you to think that I have it all together, and I don't want you to think that you have to have it all together. So even if you are someone who has worked through this or knows all the things and knows I shouldn't do this, that doesn't mean that this isn't going to help you. This is going to help you because it's an important reminder that I really want you to remember. So let's really talk about it. If you struggle with that comparison, I'm going to share a little bit about where I was and my mindset for a very long time. So I always grew up feeling like the bigger friend. Like I just always compared my body to everyone. I was in dance classes and I never felt like I had that same figure. And I got so caught up in comparison as a kid, just thinking like I was supposed to be at a certain point in my life. I was supposed to be skinnier. I was supposed to be smaller and just all of these things. And if you felt that growing up, it's crazy how that narrative as a child sticks with you throughout your entire life. For it's so easy to have that mindset of, oh, I'm not as good as them, and constantly doing it over and over again. And it's what's scary is that it's so normal now that it's almost crazy if you don't do it, right? So if you're in a room full of women and we're all tearing ourselves down, not other people, just ourselves. So just looking in the mirror, think of that Mean Girls episode or her movie where they're looking in the mirror and she's like, like my nail bit's set, like my hairline's terrible. Oh, I look terrible. And then the one girl who was not around that did not understand. Caddy had no idea. She was just like, I don't know. I feel like I have to bring myself down and say, I have terrible breath in the morning. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch Mean Girls right now. Literally stop what you're doing. If you do know what I'm talking about, still go watch Mean Girls after this episode. But with that concept of like tearing ourselves down and how that's almost like the normal ritual of women, it needs to stop. And it's so hard because it's crazy that it's normal to do in an environment with a group of women. And then that's only the tip of the iceberg, because once you get in that room by yourself and your own thoughts, it's even worse, right? It makes it that much harder because we're in that mindset and we start to go down this rabbit hole of constant comparison. And so I was there for a long time. I would pick myself apart in the mirror and I would just always feel like I wasn't enough. And then here comes social media down the road, and it only made it that much worse, right? The concept of being social and yet feeling so isolated. And that's the battle that I can feel with social media. Is I think it's so beautiful. I mean, the fact that I can connect with you guys in such a real way through the platforms is amazing. But it can also be really hard, right? Like I know how easy it is to get stuck in that. My husband calls it being a phone zombie, where you're just scrolling and scrolling and you don't even know how you got to this person's profile, but you are so caught up in their life, not with just pure entertainment, but with feeling like, wow, that's it. That's what I'm missing, right? We're constantly looking for what we're missing. And the crazy thing is, it's right in front of us and it's not on your phone. And so it's really hard when we get stuck in that comparison game, right? And I remember like I would look in the mirror all the time and I would just be so critical, and I would scroll and I would compare my body, and I just never felt like I was good enough ever. And then it led to this double guilt, because if you're someone who knows this, who's listening to this and is like, listen, Jago, like, I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I still do it. I still compare myself. I compare my life, my body, my significant other, my dog on Instagram doesn't have as many followers as my friend's dog. I don't know what you do, but just that comparison and then knowing that you shouldn't be doing it. So I call that double guilt, right? It's like, I know it's bad. I know I shouldn't be doing it. And yet, why am I doing it? It's so hard. And the crazy thing is that guilt is not helping. That extra guilt of feeling like I know this is wrong, but I'm still doing it is not helping. So I want to really talk to you about like where I came from, where my mindset was before, how I kind of grew from there, and then how I continue to work on it every single day. So I'm going to be real with you guys and tell you everything with my life, kind of where I've been going and what I've been going through. And I appreciate you letting me have this space. So I told you that I always felt like I was the bigger friend. I did not have a great image of myself and my body. And I really struggled with it for such a long time, and a lot of people have reached out and just said, so how did you do it? How did you get more confident? Like, how did this happen? And so I want to tell you how I beat my battle with my body. So believe me, it was a battle, but it wasn't about starting my next diet. It wasn't about hating my body. It wasn't about waiting to enjoy my life until I hit my goal weight or my after picture. The battle was won by learning to let go. Listen again. The battle was won by learning to let go. It didn't have to do with what I needed to add to be enough. So I let go of all the bullshit of dieting and focusing on healthy lifestyle. I focused on healthy lifestyle and I cut all the dieting. I let go of the guilt around what I was doing wrong and focused on just not giving up. Just be consistent, just keep going. Even when a day doesn't happen where you miss a workout or you mess up, as you would quote unquote call it, you realize like, guess what? I'm human, I'm real, and I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to have this guilt with the side of whatever I'm eating. I let go of that emotional eating that was derived from hate and started eating out of self-love. And that didn't mean that I was going on some crazy diet. It just meant that I wasn't hating myself whenever I would eat food. Like, think of how much of your time is spent thinking about what you should or shouldn't eat, thinking about what diet you should try. Like, your brain is so occupied thinking that we have to fit this certain thing, this certain diet, we're always looking for, like I said, something to fill that space to make us feel like we're enough. And it's not going to be found in a diet. It's not going to be found on the scale. You have to let that go. I let go of the negative words I would use to put myself down and started to lift myself up. So anytime I was saying something negative, I would literally stop in my tracks and flip it to its positive. So if I said, I hate my body, if I said I hate my stomach, let's just start with that. I would say, I love my stomach, and literally flip it, even if I didn't at the time believe it. So sometimes it feels hard because you're like, but I'm not there yet. And that's okay. Giving yourself the grace and your body the ability to be as it is in this moment, in this chapter of your life. And that is how you create change. You don't create change from hating yourself. You create it from loving yourself where you're at and giving yourself the grace to move forward at the pace that you need in your own time. Everyone's timeline is different. That is another thing I had to learn to let go, is that comparison. I mean, think about as we're told as kids, as women especially, is like what boxes we have to check. So it's like, okay, you need to go to college, you need to get a degree, you need to get married, you need to have kids, you need to have the perfect job, you need to be the perfect wife, you need to be make money, but not too much money, not more than your significant other, right? And all of these crazy check boxes that we thought we had to make. But guess what? I have met so many women that have checked all of those boxes and still feel just as empty. So it's not found in just meeting that timeline that you think, oh, I'm this many years old, guess I better have a husband and 3 kids. And if you do, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that that completely defines who you are. You are more than just those things, right? You are not stuck in one label. So don't feel like you have to be defined by how the world sees you when you're more than that. And I challenge you to seek beyond that label that you put on yourself or that others put on you. So that really helped me. Letting go of that label and what I thought people expected of me really helped me drop that comparison. So again, back to the question was, so how do you beat the comparison game? How do I beat it? Guess what? Stop playing. Stop playing the game. It's not about what you need to add into your life to be enough. It's figuring out, what do I need to let go to see that I am enough just as I am. I don't need to be like anybody else. And it sounds cheesy, but it's freaking true. It's what you need to let go. So if you're searching and you feel like when you are comparing yourself, you're comparing your body, let's just start with that first. If you're feeling like, oh, if I only lost the weight, then I would be enough. Then I would be happy. I want to remind you that the weight that you need to get rid of first has nothing to do with the scale. There's a weight that you're holding in your life. I don't know what it is, but I know that I was carrying my own for so long, and I had to learn to let go. I had to learn to stop playing the game. And that might sound easier said than done, and it is, because you can't just say, all right, I quit, and then not have any actions behind it. And so I'm going to tell you the biggest changes I made in my life to help me stop playing the comparison game, and things that I still work on every single day. So the biggest thing is how I start my day is huge for how I feel the rest of the day about myself and how I keep from getting caught up in the comparison. And so the first thing that's huge is practicing gratitude and affirmations in the morning. So every single morning I say this again and again. I write down what I'm grateful for, and I take some time to meditate or listen to some affirmations to remind myself of who I am, of my why, and of my passion and my mission on this earth. And if you feel like you struggle with that, I would definitely say take some time for some reflection and take yourself out of your current, wherever you're at right now, like find some space where you can slow down, pull out your calendar and pick a day where it's just going to be you, and just some time to reflect on where you're at right now, because sometimes we're doing things in our life that we don't even know why we're doing them, but we have to slow down and recognize the why behind it so we can decide if we want to continue with it or not. So gratitude has really helped me, and just remembering my passion as I'm creating this world that I live in, and that's the first step for sure. The second thing is to assess my environment, my routines, and my ritual. So I do this with all my clients actually. We will do a lifestyle audit. So basically write down everything you do from when you wake up in the morning to when you go to sleep at night. And you'll be surprised to see where your time goes and how your feelings go with it. So if you're waking up and immediately grabbing your phone, that is putting you in an environment that can open up to a lot of comparison. Like, you haven't even done anything for yourself and in your own life, so you're immediately comparing what you're seeing other people do to what you're not doing, right? So you're setting your mind up for failure. Whereas if you start your day and you're already pouring into yourself with that gratitude, you're already getting up, making your bed, going for a walk or going to the gym or whatever it is that works for you, making yourself breakfast, like pouring into yourself, then you're going to feel a little bit more equipped when you are pulling up onto social media, scrolling, being around other people, whatever. Like, it's going to make you feel a lot more sure of your own self and your own life. So your environment, definitely take stock in that and see where you're at. And not only just your environment with like work, but also with your friends. Who do you spend the most time with? How is their personality? Are they bringing you up, or do you feel like they're energy suckers where you're constantly having to put everything into them to where you feel like you have nothing left? That was a huge part of my environment, and I was able to figure that out and re-identify, like, I want to be around people that challenge me in a positive way, that support me with my crazy dreams, and understand that I have a passion, and they're going to understand that it might mean that I'm going to have to pour into myself. I have a certain boundaries that I need because I know my own personality. So figuring that out for yourself is huge. And a lot of that environment once you get there, in order to establish it and keep it firm and strong, is setting those boundaries, but then also really making sure that you create a routine and ritual behind it that matches who you want to be as far as being your best self. And so if you find that you love having some morning time that's just you, then create that in part of your routine. If you find that you do a lot better when you have more sleep, then heck yeah, give yourself a bedtime routine. Like, tuck yourself in at night, man. Like, it makes such a difference. So creating that for your life is absolutely going to, again, take that stress off of comparing your life to other people and helping you really focus and stay in your lane. And that's a huge one. And then the last one that was, this is like the big one that I still have to work through, is I gave myself like phone rules, basically. And so I'll tell you what they are for me. But when I was talking about how I still struggle with things, like you know what? I freaking have honed in my environment. I freaking love gratitude. I have a great routine and I have great rituals that I work through to help me feel super freaking confident. Like, I love who I am. I absolutely love myself, and you should too. But when you get in that phone zone and you start scrolling, it's like, boom, immediate comparison to people's highlight reels, right? You've heard that before. When you are scrolling through other people, it's literally the pictures and the photos and everything they're saying is perfectly curated to build themselves up and show their best sides, right? But when you're comparing, you're not comparing to your best side. You're comparing to the inside of you that is hurting. You're comparing to the piece of you that feels like, I'm not good enough. And when you do that over and over again, it just breaks you down, and it breaks my heart because I see so many women struggle with this. I talk to my clients and they still struggle. So creating that space through boundaries with your phone is huge. And if you don't know what I'm saying when I say boundaries, go back and listen to my podcast episode, Let's Talk Boundaries. I think it's episode 7. That one's huge. So if you feel like you struggle with setting those rules for yourself, then I would definitely start there. But if you already listened to that one, then listen up. So we're going to kind of talk through like what rules I set for myself. And so I had to stop being a phone zombie. So even though like my space is on my phone, right? Like, I connect with a lot of you on my phone. I have an amazing, amazing group of women that I'm connected with through social media. And I honestly freaking love Instagram. I love Facebook and I love the platforms and the people that I've been able to connect with. And there's always two sides to everything, right? So the other side of that is like being on it more. So if you're like, oh man, I love it. Like, I love the ideas and I love the inspiration and I love the people I meet. I love following Jago. Just kidding, but seriously. I love it too, but give yourself a little bit more boundaries with that. And so what it can look like is the first thing that I do is I have like a no phone zone. So like, creating a no phone zone means creating spaces in your house where you don't bring your phone, right? Like, for us, like, the bedroom is huge. Like, you need to have a space where you don't have a phone and you're not connected to that, because otherwise it's losing out on those real connections that you have with the people in your life that you really care about, and including yourself, right? Like, even if you're just like going home and going to bed and you're like, I just scroll through my phone for a little bit to help me sleep, like, it's not helping you. Believe me, it's not. So figure out what you can do instead of that. So it could be your bedroom. It could be like a certain, like, maybe you put your phone when you come home, you put it like somewhere where you don't have it for a while and you're able to really just like connect with people during dinner, or you're able to walk your dog, or you're able to decompress a little bit instead of immediately coming home from a really freaking hard day and then comparing to everyone else who's like off in Tahiti taking amazing pictures, or your coworker that like just had a baby and you're struggling with any of that. Like, it's not fair to your future self to keep comparing to other people. So really striving to create some space with that is huge. So having a no phone zone is great. So I think that if you are someone who has their phone at night and you're like, oh, I use my alarm clock, like I need my phone by my bed at night, that needs to stop. Like, there's so many tools out there. Get an alarm clock, get a Google, an iHome, or whatever those things are called, get an Alexis or all those people. But have an old school alarm clock and plug it in your phone, like into another room or into the bathroom, just so that you don't have to have that temptation of your phone when you're like, oh, I can't sleep. And then at night you end up grabbing your phone and scrolling, and then an hour or 2 hours pass and you have deep dove into some random person's life and you're like really struggling with your own things, and that is not helping, right? It's only hurting. So really check yourself with that and where you are using your phone the most. If you feel like you use it when you go out with friends, like really try and have, this is a fun one, stack your phones up, and the person who has to grab their phone first has to pay for dinner. I mean, if you're a baller like that, we've done that a couple times and it's super fun. So really challenging other people around you to be present as well. I think that this world needs more of that. And you might feel like, oh no, that's weird. Like, I don't want to be socially awkward. I need my phone. Guess what? Get rid of that crutch and just dive in, man. Like, really try it. So that's a big one, having the no phone zone, having some little fun rules like that. The other thing is, if you don't already have like your hours for your phone identified, that is so helpful for me. Like, I literally will set up like when I can plug and unplug into my phone. So I go through my entire morning routine without grabbing my phone until 8 a.m. If I'm waking up later, it's 9 a.m. And then my first thing is that I'm checking in with my clients. So it's not even going into social media. So that's super important to have those standards for you. It really helps with being present instead of being immediately on your phone and plugged into that. I know you hear this all the time, but it's like we are straight addicted. We get so stuck in the social media buzz and feeling like we're missing out. And like, these apps are designed to make us feel that way. That's why they make these stories and things like dissolve after 24 hours. So you feel like if you don't go watch them, like, oh my gosh, I might miss something. Guess what? You probably won't. Like, if you feel like you missed something, ask me. I'll tell you everything that I did and ate yesterday. Don't you worry. If you need that space for yourself, take it. It's probably bad for business, me telling you to stop looking at stories, but I love sharing them with you guys, just FYI. However, the other thing to do with your social media is do a little audit. So like, figure out who you follow and how they make you feel. So if you're scrolling and you find that you are stopping on someone that is just making you feel less than or not good enough, just go ahead and unfollow them. Just do it. You can also mute them. If it's like a family member or friend that you're like, I can't unfollow them, they'll be mad, then just mute them, because that is like, everything that you are consuming affects you, right? Every single thing that you are consuming affects you. So if you just go into autopilot and scroll and let everything just go into your brain without taking time to audit it and figure out what am I consuming, you are going to get so caught up in other people's crap, you're not going to be able to deal with your own. And sometimes that's a coping strategy, right? We do it because we don't want to deal with our own stuff, but I promise you that is not going to help the situation. It's not going to help it. So setting some of those boundaries will really help you with your phone. I just wanted to share that with you because, again, comparison is real. Like, I struggled with it with my body for so long, and then you can still struggle with it with like your career or where you're at in your life, or like, I'm this many years old, like I should be here. And just a reminder, like, you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now. Even if it seemed like you had to go a long way to get there, you're still exactly where you need to be. I want to remind you that you can break free of the negative mindset in that comparison state. You can find confidence in who you are now. And when you stop comparing yourself to others, you can focus and become the best version of yourself. It's so much bigger than just weight loss or trying to be the smaller friend or trying to be the most adventurous or this person with the most followers or most likes or anything like that. Like, you need to be a friend to yourself first. If that means putting your blinders on and kind of focusing on you for a little bit more, do it. Do what you need to do to focus on yourself for a while, to not compare timelines. Just do all you can to look, feel, and be your best self. We're all on our own journey now. But remember that we all have our own struggles as well. So you might look at those people and see them and think, wow, their life is so perfect. And you have no idea what is going on the other side of that. You have no idea. And so giving yourself that reminder and not saying like, oh, their life is terrible, but reminding yourself, you know what? I'm going to focus on what's going on in my life because that's something I have control over. And the people that I'm comparing myself to, like, I don't know the full story ever. So learning to let go is a huge part of dropping that comparison game. So choose not to play, focus on what you need, and work at it every single day. Okay, so setting yourself up for success means giving yourself that grace to work through all of this, right? It doesn't mean you're going to wake up and be perfect. So giving yourself that time to have gratitude, think about what you need, getting you in the right environment, and then take stock in what do I consume. So those are the things that I do that really help me. I hope that they helped you. I look forward to hearing your thoughts on this. I would love to know if this helped you or if you have some other tips and tricks that help you when you are feeling like you're caught in that comparison game. I want you to break free of comparisonitis, and I'm here for you. So don't hesitate to reach out. And thanks for listening. Thanks again for listening to Confidently Uncomfortable. I love being able to connect with you here and honestly don't want it to end. So head over to my Facebook group, Body Confident Blueprint, and be sure to follow me on Insta at JGoFitLife. Also, if you're ready to get real confidently uncomfortable, go leave this podcast a 5-star review and email me the review screenshot, support@jgofit360.com, for a chance to win a free 30-minute fitness audit and goal setting session. I appreciate your support. See you next time.